Peace, peace. Welcome back to the space beyond infinity where there are no limitations. I'm the spirit guide of this realm, Mystic, and I am back with another part of my expression, joining the love gang. The last video kind of went over my time of what I desired a little bit, and also my son came and addressed me, and I pushed the wrong button and ended the video. So yeah. But where I left off was the night I experienced physical abuse from the father of my children. Yeah, we were disagreeing on some things earlier in that day, but the most recent thing that was bothering me was I was hungry and he didn't want to share his food, and I felt the way about it. And he shared his food, but then there was like okay, I was just trying to share some. I wasn't trying to share like the whole thing, like finish the whole thing with you guys or whatever, and that made me feel hurt. And I didn't want to talk much. I didn't want to interact much. I definitely didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to argue and things like that. And I just wanted to go to sleep, and so we laid down, and he was upset because I didn't want to tell him what was wrong with me because I didn't want to do the back and forth. I didn't want to do the arguing about who's right and who's wrong and how I'm treating you poorly and whatever. I didn't want to do that. So yeah, he got upset. He pushed me in the back of my head, kind of headbutted my son a little bit. He rolled me over. He put his hand around my throat, and he kept, trying to get me to talk to him. And I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I'm not even saying no. I'm just not. I'm in a pure state of shock, so I'm not responding with anything but tears at this point. So, and I'm just thinking in my mind, like, if I wasn't responding to you before, I'm definitely not going to respond to you now. That's not how you're going to get me to talk to you. So, yeah, I wasn't responding, so he picked me up and he took me into the closet. There was a closet in the room that we were staying in. We were staying in a room with 1, 2, 3, 4 other couples. And he took me up. I think maybe 3 or 4 people were actually present in the room during the time. He took me up. He took me into the closet, and well, no, I think that everybody was there because it was time to go to sleep. So almost everybody was there. He took me into the closet, and he just pushed me up against the wall, and he kept his arm wrapped around his arm. He kept his hand on my throat. He kept his hand on my throat, but at the same time kept asking me to talk, to speak to him and tell me what's wrong. And it's like, you were trying to get me to tell you why I'm not emotionally stricken while being aggressive and physically abusive. Like, how did you think you were going to get any words out of me? I'm not answering. I'm just sitting there crying. And he eventually was just like, forget it. Let's just go to sleep. So we went and we laid back down. We went to sleep. And yeah, so the next rising or whatever, after the day has started a little bit or whatever, we have a house meeting and we go over some other things, but we also go over, we also like bring up the situation. Like, they was like expressing like, yeah, something happened between them two last night, And he was like, "So what happened?" And I expressed in my words and my experience of what happened, and he was like, "Have you ever had that with him? Have y'all ever been like that before?" I'm like, "No." Well, I just kind of expressed like, more so just was shocked. We never had that before. Never had that kind of experience with each other before. He's never done it to me before, whatever, whatever. And here goes Nature Boy trying to gaslight me, like, so you gonna leave him now, or you da 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 word or whatever, and yeah, whatever. Anyway, it's some things that I kind of want to skip over, or some things that I don't really feel much need too much acknowledgement, as far as like other people's experiences and stuff while being there. Like, I just want to focus on expressing my personal experience and my personal perspective. Yeah. So we all just kind of had a talk and a conversation about that, and it just being reiterated that in that house, a man is allowed to put his hands on his woman to put her in her place, basically, and that's just what it is. And so I just ate that. I just ate that shit. And me having compassion for him, I just moved forward gracefully, as gracefully as I could, you know, and just letting it go. And that hurt me a lot, and it still hurts to this day, because it's like I'm in this place, in this space with these strangers who I realize now, like, I knew that there was, there's this bullshit, but I did think that the way that they cared for each other actually was real. And I believed that until one night when we were partying in a house or whatever, and all the ladies were in a circle, and we were all dancing with each other and stuff. And I was dancing, I started shaking my booty or whatever, and then here goes Velvet, and she said, "Oh, she could shake her ass real good, but she can't, produce content for the group, for the collective." And that hurt my feelings. So I just left. I went upstairs. I cried about it for a second, and then I went back downstairs and just was chilling. I just sat down, like, whatever, like, cause that just made me realize, like, wow, it's really, it's really, it's really survival of the fittest around here. It's really like kill or be killed type vibes. Like, nobody is really truly aligned with anyone here. Everybody's just existing and competing. And that's truly the truth of what is being cultivated in the space. Competition between everyone. Men and men and women and women. Everybody is in a competition to win the favor of the Most High. And I wasn't. And so when that moment happened to me, it just kind of struck me like, oh yeah, that is what's actually happening here. So so when I experienced my physical abuse, it was just like, wow, like, I'm in this place, in this space, like, of people that I don't trust, and you're the only person that I feel like I could trust. We have our friends that were here previously, but you're my husband. You're the father of my children. If anything went down, you're the only person I feel like I could look to protect me. And you put your hands on me. And so I was really let down. I was really disappointed. And I think at that point was when I was like, okay, we could just separate. And, you can go on your way. Um, and so at that point, we were separated. I had moved into the single women's room, and he had moved into the downstairs with the rest of the single men. I gotta find my charger. Yeah. So he was downstairs in the living quarters with the rest of the men, and I had been moved to the single ladies room, and we were separated. Now, around this time was when the test was taken, and we failed the test, and well, I failed the test. I failed the test, and a couple others failed the test, and so we were put in isolation, and we had to stay in a room. We had to stay in a room in isolation to study. Yes, we were put in isolation, which means we had to stay in the room, in the single ladies' room, um, and study, and study, and study, and study until we get it right. And put on a presentation. I feel like we had to put on a presentation. We had to study and put together a presentation. No, we had to study until we got it right, and then, you know, um, one day in isolation, um, someone else had decided to leave, another woman that I was a little bit more fonder of. She had decided to leave, and she left the day before, and just in her leaving, I was just kind of feeling like, yeah, it's pretty much time for me to go too. And I was not allowed to reach out to Boomy. And so what I did was I messaged my cousin, and I told her to tell him that I needed to talk to him. I'm not even allowed to talk to this man. We have a child. We have people come into the room to bring me my son, or to take my son down to his dad. His dad is making oatmeal, or someone else is designated to make him oatmeal in the rising. I'm no longer allowed to go down to the kitchen or anything. Like, just to the bathroom and back to the room. Excuse me. And that's when we started really advocating for pregnant women. Like, we need to change something up in here, because they was bringing us like one piece of fruit each, and we like, hello, we're pregnant. Like, we need more than just one piece of fruit. So they started bringing us, a little more fruit, some nuts and stuff. But that was pretty much the most we got out of advocating for pregnant women. Well, no, we got eggs, but like I said, certain people who contributed a certain amount of money had a grocery list, and they were allowed to whatever. And the other pregnant lady just happened to be in the room with me in isolation, and she just was sharing her eggs. I felt like it was at that point. But yeah, I got to a point to where I wanted to reach out to Boomy and just express to him, what I was thinking, what I was feeling. And at this point, he's in it. He's in the shit. He's in the shit. And this is how I know. Because I reached out to him. I messaged my cousin. I told her to tell him I need to talk to him. So she messaged him and told him that I needed to talk to him. And here we are, 30 minutes or so later. And I get called in the room by the cult leader. And he's like, you tried to reach out to Boomy? And I'm like, shit. Like, this man really just told on me. And it was in that moment that I know that his allegiance was no longer aligned with me. Yeah. I was just like, wow, like that messed me up. Like to have that added on to, you know, the physical abuse I had went through not too much previously. Like I was just like, wow. I was really like shook. I was shocked. I was hurt. I was like, through everything. We're supposed to be husband and wife, real, for real. Like, we was together before we even got here. We have children. I'm pregnant. Like, really, this, yes, this. He told him that I tried to contact him. And, he was supposed to take my phone, but he didn't. He was just like, whatever. Because he came and called me in a room. He's like, you tried to contact him. And I'm like, yeah. It's just that the last time we seen each other, we was just kind of on a bad note. And now, like, we're not talking and we're passing our baby back and forth. And it's just like miscommunication. So I was just trying to get a conversation to get back on the same page and blah, blah, blah. So that's all it was. And he was like, okay. And so he just let me slide. But that wasn't the truth. The truth was that I wanted to leave and I wanted to talk to Mooney about it, but he just. So, yeah. I also have remembered, I wanted to point out that once I got there, my relationship with my son had to change. My relationship with my son had to change because their babies were not allowed to cry. They had to find another form of communication. And my son, he's very sensitive. He was in a new environment with a bunch of people. He's feeling all the energy and the vibes. So yeah, he's crying. There's things that he didn't, I don't know, like, everything changed for him. You're a baby, you're a 1-year-old, and your whole reality is changing right in front of your eyes. And then now your dynamic with your mother's changing right in front of your eyes. That's the one thing I feel the most guilty about, allowing that. So if your baby is crying and they won't calm down and they won't settle down and you can't get them to, you need to put them in a room by themselves to finish crying for a few minutes. Well, no, not for a few minutes, until they're done crying, and then go get them. So one day there was a meeting, and I don't remember what happened, but Zakari was with me. He wasn't with me. Zakari, you can come in here if you want to. Zakari was with Boomy. He wasn't with me. So when we came downstairs for the meeting, and Boomy was on the other end of the room, and I was on the other end of the room, and Zakari's just looking at me like, I want my mom. I haven't been with my mom. I want my mama. Can I please go to my mom? And, he's kind of interrupting, and they're trying to get him to be quiet, and he wouldn't be quiet, and so he got popped. And of course, if he's getting popped, he's going to start crying some more. So he got took upstairs and put in the room. And I just had to bite it. I just had to eat it. And that's like the biggest thing I regret. That's the biggest thing out of my entire experience that I regret, is allowing the dynamic between me and my son to transform like that, because our communication was seamless and it was very perfect before we got there. And it wasn't until we got there that our relationship was damaged and transformed. Yeah, he went upstairs. He cried for a little bit. They brought him downstairs, and then they let him finally. Well, after sitting with his dad for a little bit, then it's like, okay, you can go to your mom. I was so happy to get my baby. I'm just like, let me hold on to my baby. Don't let my baby go. My baby never left my side for the most part after that. Like, no, because I don't even trust these other people. Like, nobody can watch my son. It was only one person. That one lady that I told y'all she left. I let her watch my son while I was in the bath. I let her take care of him while I was in the bath and I needed to take a bath. And that was it. I've never let nobody like be with my son like that because they used to always be, he's a crybaby. He's always crying. Tell him to stop crying. And it's like he's only crying because y'all not treating him with tenderness. There's no love here. He don't feel like there's affection. He's not. It's a whole different environment. There's new rules. He can't be as free as he was being before. Y'all, my son lost his dang on cup. He needed a new cup. So a Zine gave me one of the cups that she had. The very next day, that cup went missing. So he had no cup for like a week or two. Look, he didn't have no cup for the rest of the time being there. And I kept expecting, like, can y'all get him a cup? Can y'all get him? I talked to his dad, like, yo, you on the go out team, like, can you try to figure out something, like, on your end? Can you say something, like, about our son needing a cup? He has not gotten a cup yet. I don't know why. One, my baby couldn't get in a cup, but I don't know why his father just kept like, you're a grown woman, you handle that shit. Like, pretty much how he was treating me the entire time. Like, you're a grown woman, handle your shit. And I'm just like, you are my husband, you are my provider. Fucking provide. But anyway, I just couldn't get a cup for my son. Like, what? But yeah, like, that moment of him going up, that was like the worst he experienced, on behalf of his two parents directly. Like, I didn't let anything like that happen again after that. No. Just let my son be with me. Let him stay here. Period. Like, if I get overwhelmed, then I guess I have to. But, like, let my son be with me. Period. But, excuse me. Yeah. After being in isolation for a while, he came, he tested us, Nature Boy, he came, he tested us, we passed the test. So he's like, okay, y'all free from isolation. But me, I just wanted to stay more in an isolated vibe. So I kept like just chilling in the closet because I didn't want to be around nobody. That's the only place I could find to be alone. So I would just stay in the closet for the most of the day. When it's time for me to study, I'll be in the closet studying. Or just pondering life. Whatever. And so one day I just decided, like, yeah, I'm kind of over this. Me and Boomy, we got to talk more. And I had let him know, I was like, once we finally got to talk in person, I just let him know, like, we had a moment, we was outside, we was talking, like, yo, I want to leave. I need to go. And what we were talking about, he was kind of making it seem like, man, for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, it was the simple fact that, like, I wasn't receiving anything that I asked for. So I totally forgot that he was even contributing money to the household, that he was actually getting money. So in the way he reacted and responded to me when we had this conversation about me wanting to leave and we should leave, he's like, where are we gonna go? So in my mind, you're asking me where we're gonna go. I'm assuming you're not wanting to like leave here and then go stay with family. And I'm like, if that's what we gotta do, then that's just what we gotta do. Like, but if we got money, what do you mean? Where are we gonna go? To a hotel until we figure it out, right? We Airbnb this shit out. Let's Airbnb our own shit out somewhere so we can heal, come back to some mind. But the way he reacted and responded made me think that we didn't have no money and that he didn't want to leave because he didn't want to go and just be in family members' houses on the couch. Yeah. But me, I'm just like, I'd rather, because at least then my son would get a cup the day that I asked for it. Not like it's been 2 weeks and my son ain't got a fucking cup. Out here dehydrated because he can't drink enough because he don't have a cup to keep up with how much he's drinking. No, fuck that. So at this point, I'm just like, I'm over it. Like, we had a conversation, and he's like, yeah, okay, we should go. But then it came into we should decide on where we're going first. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then.
Look, Mom, Bingo's turn.
It's Bingo's turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, okay, we just like, got to where we got to think some things through first. It's like, let's think it through. And I'm like, okay. So later that day, we got called upstairs in front of Eligio, and he's like, the call leader, and he's like, I heard y'all was trying to leave. Y'all ready to leave? Y'all ready to go? Whatever. And I'm like, he's asking Boomy, like, do you want to leave? And Boomy's like, no. And then he asked me. Boomy's like, no. And that, like, threw me off. Here I go again. I'm utterly stunned and shocked because we just had a conversation 20 fucking minutes ago. Okay? And you like, we gonna think our things through. You didn't say we wasn't going nowhere. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to leave. He's like, okay, do you know where you want to go? Like, y'all can send me right back to Indiana, right where I came from. I'll go right back there. He's like, yeah, okay, we'll book your flight, whatever. Okay, cool. So we leave. Boomy does some more talking to me, trying to convince me to stay, whatever. Nope. Mm-hmm. Later on, I kind of found out that maybe his mind frame was more so like we needed to make it to Mexico first and then go off on our own. That's what he was saying, because Nature Boy kept promising that we would go to Mexico and everybody would get married. We would go to Mexico and all of the men would get their own houses. And Boomy's like, let's get set up into that shit before. And that's what later on he expressed his thoughts were. But I was ready to go then, and I didn't think that it was worth waiting. I didn't think it was worth waiting for, and I didn't think that it was worth. I didn't think it was worth like. I didn't think it was worth fucking waiting for. I didn't think that the value of the experience would be what it needed to be for me if I went through those means to get there. Us being legally married on paper and moving into Mexico and getting our own house, and like I don't think that it would have been the value of what I needed to be if I would have went through those means to get there. So I was totally content with leaving. So they set me up a plane ticket to leave the next day, and I was so happy. I spent the night up just making jewelry for people. I was making rings and stuff for everybody, pendants and stuff. And I was just like, saying my goodbyes. I was happy. I was happy. I was happy to go. And, here's Malia, like, when you come back, you shouldn't bring your kids because they're a distraction. And that's probably the reason why the reason why you're leaving, for your kids. And you're not able to really focus on your mission. And I'm just like, yep. And I left. What really made me decide to leave, actually? Crazy. But um I dressed up. I got dressed up one day just to feel good, to feel pretty. I finally decided to dress up, right? And I was cute and I liked it. And I took a picture and I looked at that picture and I liked it, but I was like, that's not me. I don't look like myself. I don't look like myself. And I was like, I don't feel like myself. I was like, okay, I'm content with leaving. Like, I mean, obviously I had been thinking about it, but it was on. I dressed up and I took that picture and I looked at myself and I didn't see myself. That I was like, yeah, it's time to go. And people from the outside looking in could really be like, how did these people allow so much stuff to happen to them and not like how can you let a man put you in the corner? Like, how can you let somebody put you in the corner and not stand up for yourself or whatever. But you don't understand what it's like to really be in that environment. Like, people don't understand what it's like to really be there until you're actually there. It definitely was not as crazy. Like, once it got towards the end and how crazy it was at the end, it was not crazy like that before when I got there. I was like kind of coming in right before it started getting crazy like that. Yeah, none of that crazy shit like that happened. Like, while I was there was one night where all the men was downstairs fighting, drunk fighting and shit. One that same night, the ladies were upstairs. He had us all lined up, and he questioned each and every one of us, which one of y'all want to fight Velvet, and obviously, like, I don't have no problems. I don't have no, you feel me? I don't think anybody ended up actually fighting amongst the women that night. Yeah, there was shit like that, but the rest of actually the getting in the corner and all that, none of that actually started until I left. Three God and blah blah, none of that started until I left. That was after I left. That was after Boomy left. The three God shit, the standing in the corner shit, that started. He was still there. He witnessed a few people standing in the corner. Yeah. What do y'all think about? No, just like, I just think about that one dare guy. You know what's funny? I kind of want him to, like. I was thinking, like, should I message him and just tell him, like, you need to cover this shit because he's the excellent storyteller. So, but yeah. I got my ticket. I got my flight booked. They took me right on out. Nobody gave me any problems. I think that they didn't want to give me any problems with leaving because that would have made problems for them that they didn't want to have. Trying to hold captive me, specifically. Because my energetic setup and my background. I got people who actually love me, looking out for me. Well, I mean, it's not like people don't have people that love them, but I don't know, just me. I am who I am. I think that it would have been a problem trying to keep me there, a problem that they didn't want at the time. So there was no resistance from anybody except for my baby father,
Look,
who wanted to keep me there.
Mom. I made it up there.
Yes, you did. Good job. And I was just like, it was a lot of thoughts like, I don't want to be in a, why, I didn't understand. Like, I don't want to be in an environment where my man is putting more, like, I have to think and give more attention and priority to another man over my husband. Like, that didn't make no fucking sense to me. I really left the space more confident in myself, a more understanding of myself, and like a new outlook on myself. And I wanted to continue that, but obviously, I got more trauma behind it because when I left, I didn't leave with the father of my children. I left, I took my plane out, and here they go, right? My baby daddy paid for my flight. Um, and once I left, I got to the airport and I needed my bag paid for. So I had to use the money that was on my card to pay for my bag. So I had to get him to send me some more money so that I could have for food. So I had $26 on my card. I used that money to pay for my bag. And then he sent me another $26. And that was the last money I received from him. Until, I don't even know. I don't even fucking know. And I'm like, I know y'all gonna pay for my bag at least. Goddamn. The fuck? Bruh. It was like maybe another month before he left. Like, I left, I got my money, I was on my unemployment. I got my money. I didn't buy a house, but I got into an apartment. I started taking care of me and my kids, preparing for my birth. I wanted a home birth, and I was still attached to the father of my children. Come on now, I love that man. Wanted him to come home. He came home. He spoke about his experience online. He expressed himself to people. Here I am in the background advocating, standing up for him and stuff. We birthed our beautiful Raji Rain at home, and the experience goes on. Like I said, I never really told my story because, like I said, I was only there for a month and a half. And I personally did not experience too much trauma at the hands of Nature Boy. The most trauma I experienced at the hands of Nature Boy was my family being torn apart once again. And I can't even put that in his hands. I can't even put that on him because we wasn't together before I got there. So I don't really blame him. So I never really spoke about my experience, but I do feel like I needed to get this off of my chest. I feel like I needed to express my experience. I feel like I needed that for me. Not just for everybody, but for me. Not for clout or anything, just randomly like, oh yeah, I just need clout all of a sudden out of nowhere. No. Y'all, I left the damn thing 2-3 years ago. I left that group 2 or 3 years ago. I don't need clout all of a sudden out of nowhere. It's just to see that he finally was sentenced kind of put like me in a space of like, now I need that closure. Now it's time. Now it's time for a lot of us to have closure. I mean, there's still like events that have to go by, the people who are still involved have to decompress and figure out what's next for them and things, and we have to see their reactions and stuff. But I felt like I needed my closure. How do I feel about him being locked up? Um, a part of me is hurt because this is another black man who's locked away for the rest of his life. But the other part of me is like, you feel me? You did all of that preaching about how your reality is a reflection of your mind. So if you got life in prison, what is your mind really looking like? For me, that says life in prison plus 10 years. That tells me that you didn't want the people who was in your reality and who are in your reality to be free. You are going to do everything that you can to keep these people in a space of submission and oppression and suppression, and you're not trying to give nobody no true freedom. And so you're receiving your reality is reflecting your mindset. You put that out into the world, and that's what you're getting back. That's how I see it. I hate to see another black man being locked away for the rest of his life. I don't feel like anybody should be locked away for the rest of their lives, but I do feel like you have to express some type of accountability for how you treated people and the way you made people feel. For trying to intimidate individuals, especially these women who hold the wounds and carry the children. And you're just using your power to take advantage of them because you can. And then you're just putting everything online, incriminating yourself. Like, yeah, this is what I do, this is how I treat you. And you gon' do that shit. And you gon' love me for it. And if you don't, then you're a demon. And you're going to hell. Get the fuck out. Or I'm going to make your life hell if you decide you don't want to go nowhere. Yeah, stay your ass right here. I'm going to make your ass experience hell since you want to be a demon. You just putting all that shit out there and you're getting the shit fucking back. But that's my final on my joining love game for my YouTube. Thank y'all for listening. Please don't be too judgmental on me. Please don't ask too many questions. If you have any, I mean, you can ask questions. I'll be happy to answer. But I'm not going to go too far, like I said, into other people's experiences because it was about my experience. And no, I did not experience much abuse. I did experience one encounter where a woman was thrown and dragged all up and through the hallway. She tried to run down the stairs and out the door, but she got snatched up by the other women and dragged back up the stairs, and then tossed all through one of the empty bedrooms, through the hallway, and brought back into the room. That was the night that I said that we all was lined up to ask, like, do y'all want to fight Velvet? That particular woman was tossed around and dragged up and brought into the room and asked if she wants to fight Velvet. And then we all were asked to fight. Do we want to fight her? Other than that, yeah. And we did spiritual baths, and one of the women was bathing, and he came in on us. I wasn't bathing. She was bathing, but it was my job and another person's job to prepare her bath for her and make her space comfortable and sit with her and talk to her and get her to express herself, whatever. So we were in there. I'm downstairs, baby. Yeah. So that's my experience. Thank y'all all for listening. I'm going to engage with my children now because it's time for me to be mommy. Uh, be free in yourself and your expression always. I'm still healing. We're all still healing. Give these people grace. Yes, hold people accountable for their actions, especially as adults, but hold everybody accountable, not just the victims. Okay? We're not making abusers out to be victims. Abusers are abusers. They are not victims. Victims are victims. But yes, we are going to hold them accountable because you chose to be there. You did. You put yourself where you put yourself. And then you chose to leave and you chose to get yourself right. And we're going to give you credit for that. But again, thank you for listening. You have a beautiful, wonderful, magical, amazing experience.